Okay, so we've got quite the mystery on our hands today. A real head-scratcher that's captivated folks for decades, the Somerton Man.
Ah, yes. The Somerton Man, a case shrouded in mystery intrigue.
Right. Found on an Australian beach back in '48, no ID, no clear cause of death, and it's become this almost legendary unsolved case.
And what's really fascinating is that even with recent developments potentially revealing his identity, the core questions remain unanswered.
It's like peeling back layers of an onion only to find another onion underneath. Welcome to the Deep Dive, everyone, where we dissect these compelling enigmas, trying to extract the essence of the story from a mountain of information.
It's like we're detectives ourselves, piecing together clues, sifting through evidence.
Exactly. And today we're diving deep into the Somerton Man mystery, armed with a collection of articles and a healthy dose of curiosity. So picture this: December 1st, 1948, Somerton Beach, Australia. A couple stumbles upon a well-dressed man leaning against the seawall.
Just an ordinary morning by the sea until it wasn't.
Right, you'd probably assume he's asleep, maybe had a bit too much to drink the night before.
A reasonable assumption given the circumstances, but as the investigation unfolded, those initial assumptions crumbled.
And quickly, too. No wallet, no identification, nothing to indicate who he was. And get this, all the labels from his clothes were meticulously removed.
Talk about a red flag, right? It's like someone went to great lengths to erase his identity.
Adding to the intrigue was what he did have on him. Cigarettes, a mix of brands matches juicy fruit gum, a used bus ticket, an unused train ticket, 2 combs.
A peculiar assortment of everyday items doesn't give us much to go on, does it?
Not really. It's a jumble of seemingly random possessions. The initial inquest held the following year in '49 threw more fuel on the fire. The pathologist concluded his death was not natural, pointing to poisoning.
But here's the catch: no trace of poison could be found.
It's like a locked room mystery, but instead of a room, it's a body.
Precisely. And the coroner couldn't even conclusively say whether the Somerton Man was the same well-dressed fellow spotted nearby the night before.
The plot thickens. And then, about a month later, a suitcase is discovered at the Adelaide railway station, believed to belong to our mystery man. What's inside this suitcase, you ask?
Well, let's see. A dressing gown, slippers, underwear, pajamas, shaving equipment, trousers with sand in the cuffs.
Hold on, sand in the cuffs that connects back to the beach.
Exactly. And there's more: a screwdriver, a modified knife scissors, a zinc square, a stenciling brush, the kind used on ships.
Okay, now that's getting interesting. A possible maritime connection.
It certainly raises questions. And the suitcase contained this orange wax thread matching a repair on the Somerton Man's trousers, a direct link. And then there are labels T. Keen on some clothing.
T. Keen, a name that led investigators down a rabbit hole.
Extensive searches yielded no missing persons matching the description or the name. And to add another layer of intrigue, a coat in the suitcase was traced back to America, broadening the scope of the mystery even further.
So we have a man of unknown origins, potentially poisoned with his identity, deliberately obscured, possessing a collection of both ordinary and unusual items. A real conundrum. But wait, it gets even more puzzling. Months later, the Tamam Shud note enters the scene.
Ah, yes. A tiny piece of paper tucked away in a hidden pocket bearing those words, Tamam Shud, Persian for "it is finished," the last line from the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, a collection of poetry.
Poetry. It's like something out of a spy thriller.
It introduced this literary, almost philosophical element into the case, and the connection to the Rubaiyat deepens when a rare New Zealand edition of the book surfaces.
Found discarded in an unlocked car, the final page ripped out, matching the Tamam Shud fragment perfectly.
It's like pieces of a puzzle falling into place, but the picture they form is still unclear. And remember those handwritten markings in the book?
A phone number and a sequence of letters that seemed like some kind of code, right?
Exactly. The phone number led investigators to Jessie Jo Thompson, a nurse who lived near Somerton Beach.
And her reaction to seeing the Somerton Man's death mask.
Witnesses said she looked as if she might faint. Yet she denied knowing the man or having any connection to him.
A very curious response. And apparently she remained quite evasive during subsequent interviews. It's as if she knew more than she was letting on.
Her evasiveness fueled speculation and suspicion. Early on, investigators focused on a possible connection to Alf Boxall, an Army officer who knew Jessie Thompson.
And Alf Boxall also owned a copy of the Rubaiyat, adding another layer to the tangled web.
He seemed like a promising lead for a while, but he was later found alive and well in Sydney with his intact copy of the Rubaiyat ruling him out.
So we've got dead ends, contradictions, a whole lot of unanswered questions. No wonder the public went into overdrive with theories.
It's what happens when a mystery this captivating remains unsolved. There were theories he was a spy, a jilted lover, a smuggler, even a former ballet dancer, based on his well-developed calf muscles.
It's fascinating how people try to make sense of the unknown, filling the gaps with their own narratives. But fast forward several decades, and enter Professor Derek Abbott, a man determined to crack this cold case.
Professor Abbott brought a fresh perspective, a scientific rigor to the investigation. He teamed up with forensic genealogist Colleen Fitzpatrick, and their approach proved groundbreaking.
They used DNA from hairs found in the Somerton Man's death mask and compared it against extensive genealogical databases. This led them to Charles Webb, an electrical engineer from Melbourne who disappeared in 1947.
It's amazing how advancements in DNA technology have revolutionized crime solving, enabling us to revisit historical mysteries with new tools. Now, it's important to note that the official confirmation from the state coroner regarding Carl Webb's identity is still pending. But Professor Abbott and Colleen Fitzpatrick's findings provide compelling evidence.
And the more we learn about Carl Webb, the more pieces seem to fall into place. Born in 1905, married to Dorothy Jean Robertson, he left her in 47. And remember the name T. Keene on the suitcase.
Well, it turns out Carl Webb had a brother-in-law named Thomas Keene.
What are the odds? It's like the universe is dropping hints. And we know Webb was interested in poetry and horse racing, tying back to the Rubaiyat, and possibly to those coded letters, which Professor Abbott believes might be linked to betting.
These are intriguing connections, though circumstantial, of course. The timeline aligns, too. Webb vanished in 47. The Somerton Man was found in late 48. His wife Dorothy filed for divorce in 51, citing desertion. She'd moved to a town northeast of Adelaide, which suggests a possible reason for Webb's presence in South Australia.
So he might have been in the area trying to reconcile with his estranged wife. It's a plausible scenario. And archival evidence seems to back this up. There's no record of Carl Webb's death around that time, and reports suggest a resemblance between his brother and the Somerton Man.
It all adds up, but let's not forget the earlier theory about Jesse Thompson's son, Robin. There were striking physical similarities between Robin and the Somerton Man, particularly their ears and teeth.
And Robin later became a ballet dancer, which seemed to echo those observations about the Somerton Man's physique. But the DNA evidence definitively ruled out Carl Webb as Robin's father.
Right, the DNA evidence provides concrete answers in a case riddled with ambiguity. However, it doesn't entirely eliminate the possibility of some other connection between Webb and Jesse Thompson, however distant. The question of their relationship, if any, lingers.
So after decades of speculation and dead ends, we might finally have a name, Charles Webb. But this revelation opens up a new chapter in the Somerton Man saga.
Exactly. We've potentially answered the who, but the why remains a mystery. What truly caused his death? What was his connection to Jesse Thompson? And what about the cryptic Tamam Shud message? These enduring questions ensure that the Somerton Man remains an enigma.
This deep dive has taken us through a maze of evidence, theories, and speculation. It's a testament to the enduring power of mystery and the human desire to make sense of the unknown.
And it reminds us that sometimes, even with answers, more questions emerge. The Somerton Man story, with its missing labels, coded messages, and unidentified poison, continues to captivate our imagination.
It's a tale that reminds us that even in the face of seemingly mundane revelations, like a potential name, the allure of the unexplained persists. What could have driven Carl Webb, or whoever the Somerton Man was, to such a clandestine end? What secrets did he carry with him to that sandy grave?
As we conclude this exploration into the Somerton Man, I encourage you to embrace the mysteries that surround us.
And for those who crave more captivating stories and insightful discussions, be sure to explore the wealth of episodes we have waiting for you at the All Sorts podcast, your gateway to a universe of fascinating narratives available on your favorite listening platform. And for a visually immersive experience that brings these stories to life, set your course for the All Sorts podcast on YouTube, where every like, share, and subscription helps illuminate the path for fellow knowledge seekers. Connect with our vibrant community on X, Instagram, and Threads, where behind-the-scenes glimpses and thought-provoking conversations await. Your engagement fuels our explorations and helps these incredible stories reach a wider audience. So until our next deep dive, keep questioning, keep learning, and keep the spirit of discovery burning bright.
Remember, the world is full of unsolved mysteries waiting to be explored.
Absolutely. So stay curious, and who knows, maybe you'll be the one to unlock the next great enigma.